Democracy thrives on a knowledge that empowers the people. Let's talk about it. Join us every Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. for the new radio program, Let's Talk About It. A panel of professionals discussing various topics in St. Maarten. Let's Talk About It. A new radio program every Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. Tune into SOS Radio 95.9 FM and on the internet at sosradio959.com. Let's talk about it.
In case you've just joined, you're listening to Let's Talk About It. And this afternoon, we have two beautiful young ladies in the studio with me. They've been on the program before, and we're here this afternoon to talk about their situation. It's the members of the Brighter Path Foundation, and they are from Statia. And we have the president of the foundation with us and another member, somebody who wasn't in the program for a little while. I'm talking about Ms. Shamaida Balestina. Shamaida, welcome to the program once again.
Thank you very much for having us, Suja, and we really look forward to having a good conversation.
And we also have with us in the studio Ms. Jacinta Bryce. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I too want to thank you for your time.
Okay. Let's go straight into it. I know that the discussion around St. Eustatius has been one that was ongoing. Your association, the Brighter Path, have been doing some work in terms of trying to make the people more conscious of the situation. And that situation is that you all wanted to put it back in the opinion of the people, the status of St. Eustatius. That best status that y'all have, you find, y'all didn't vote it for it, that's the one. Let's start with that. Y'all didn't vote for that status. So now, at what level you're at right now?
Well, at what level are we at? If we compare where we were, let's say, a year ago to where we are right now, I think we would say that we have made some progress because more people in St. Eustatius are aware of this situation, the fact that the public entity status that we have now, which is partial integration, is not what we opted for. And there's a lot of discussion in the community in regards to this. And I must say a positive development is the fact that the island government has appointed a referendum committee. And that referendum committee is the one to organize a referendum, hopefully in December of 2014, so this year.
So you're all moving real fast. In comparison to when I was there a year ago, y'all wasn't sure about whether this referendum would happen. How much, and I know y'all did a whole lot of work in terms of the petition, your march in the street, you did a whole, how much would you say the impact was from the work that y'all did?
Wow, how was the impact? Suja, we have been at this for years. So when I say years, I would say at least 5 years. This is not the work of a year. This is the work of 5 years. And when we started out, people thought we were crazy. And people told us, oh, girl, you all have to leave this thing alone. What we have now, let's see what we can do with that and stop complaining and what have you. So basically in the beginning, people thought we were mad. And I guess people thought we were doing something that didn't really make sense. But slowly but surely, the consciousness increased. And the impact is that people are now more aware. And I think another impact is also that for years we were the only group fighting for a constitutional referendum on Statia. And now there are more people on board.
Just in the last time you were here, we went through all of this detail. You had some great concern about your country in terms of the people responding to your cry. How you feel today, a year or more after?
Well, we have a lot to be grateful for. Like Shamara just said, we have more groups now joined us. There's Pro Station, there's one more group, I'm not too sure of their name, that's Mr. Henricus, Mr. Tea, and they're all saying the same thing. And on a small island, when you have the various groups, each of them have their own people. So then you have more people looking in the same direction now, so we don't feel alone anymore. What we do have once in a while, and I guess it's pretty normal, you do have one or two saying, still, what are they talking about? It's not something in our culture to stand up against governments and to stand up and say this is not what we want. It's embedded in the people that what the leaders say goes. And the only thing political ever happening on Statia always were the elections. And then that would be like a big happening on the islands, and this one is against this one. And then as soon as it's over, everything is back to normal. Now, this is something different. This is something new. You have people from different political parties now looking in one direction. It's strange to people, and they would say, but I thought you were green, I thought you were red, but then you want this. So the people are a little confused, but at the same time, what we are proud of is that we have brought the message to the masses that you do have a right, no matter your political color, to state, I am not happy with what is happening in my country. This country belongs to me. And I have a right and I have the power to change it. So it's not that we are doing something political. We are also doing something social, and we are also doing something that is changing an entire mentality and an entire generation. And that makes me feel happy. And even if we do not get our way, we got that in the people's mind, that you have the right.
I'm sure at the time when you all started that people would have blamed you as being a political group. I'm sure that's one of the things that they say about you.
That's all they know. When they hear anything sounding political, they automatically believe, well, I just know these people are going to put up a flag that they're a political party. But we maintained we are not a political party. We are just here. We are doing this without pay. We are just giving of our time, just to give you information that has been lacking over the last generations, that you have a right. That's all we want. We want to inform you. And they're starting to believe us, because there's an election in Statia, I think in March 2015, and they haven't seen any colors come from us yet. So I think they're starting to understand, oh, well, these are just idealists. They're not in it for anything else.
Let's go back to the president. Shamaina, y'all take a stand early and you work hard. But isn't that a kind of normal, though, if you go outside your country and you study and you see what's happening home, you want to come back and make change? Do you see that as your role, looking at Statia from the outside?
I see it as quite a normal process, but Suja, not everyone see that as a normal process, because in terms of criticism, the criticism that we got and still do get is that, oh, you guys have been out of Statia for such a long time, and what do you guys know and what have you. But I think that once stations go away to study, and even St. Martiners, you're exposed to something broader. Your perspective, increases, and that perspective helps you to see the world through different eyes, and then you start to think about your own local situation, and then you're inspired by new ideas, and those new ideas you want to bring to your people. And I think that it is quite a normal process. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who has that drive to want to bring about a change in your own island. So it's normal.
How difficult it is, though, to deal with political issues and to not get convinced to be involved politically speaking, because people would expect you to want to be a big... No, it's one thing to say that you want the changes, and then the next thing for you to say that you might be the best person fit to bring about the change.
it's difficult because, as Jacinta just said, people are convinced that we are political. And then, people would say to us, people would say to me, well, Shamada, since you want to bring about such change, why don't you go into politics? You need to be in politics, You can't stand on the sidelines and bring about change. And I must say, it is a question that you have in your mind, and you ask yourself the question, can you stay out of the political arena, meaning not being part of a political party, and bring about change? And I must say I do have an answer to that. I think yes. I think that there is a role for NGOs, and I think that NGOs, once functioning properly, can have an impact on the political climate on an island.
Yeah. Can members, Jacinta, from the group, A Brighter Path, can they be politician and be part of the group, or y'all are definitely totally a non-political group?
We are definitely a non-political group. We really do not want to mix in politics. People are saying it, asking the question a lot, and they have good points, because often you don't get anything done if you're not in there. You feel that you have to rely on someone else, you have to depend on someone else, and they probably don't have the same goals like you, they don't have the same vision like you. So then you do feel sometimes, those people right by saying maybe we should go into politics and have people vote first, and then we can make certain decisions. We left the island, and we went away, we studied, we were away, I think maybe most of our lives. And to come back home, yes, you would get people who are saying, who are you? And then you feel sometimes you feel like you don't belong. Then you wonder, would anybody even follow us? Would they vote for us? But I must say, Suja, sometimes I get the impression from people that we are a breath of fresh air. People are saying, well, it's time to clean up the old and come in with the new. And then we end up looking at each other, are we the new they are talking about? The temptation is there. It's not a heavy temptation for me, because right now, because of my busy schedule and my family life, I'm thinking politics is not for me. But trust me, when you want to get things done so badly, you're like, well, if this is the only way, maybe that's the way we should take. But it wouldn't happen soon. Not for me.
So let's go back to the referendum. Yeah. The last time I spoke to you, Shemaida, the idea was to push for the referendum. You guys are promoting the referendum, or are you promoting an option in the referendum?
Both. You first need to have a referendum, because without a referendum, why would you promote an option? So we have been fighting for a referendum, and in the beginning, our objective was just to fight for a referendum, but now that we know that that referendum is coming, we are promoting an option. Because as a foundation, we thought, based on all the information that we have, based on discussions that we have had with different experts, even yourself coming from Friends in Maarten and the model that Friends in Maarten had and now had, we put all that information together, and we decided that the best option for St. Eustatius would be a form of local autonomy, and that is the option that we are promoting.
How much support y'all have been getting for this, though? I know that now you got everybody almost convinced. I guess majority of the population convinced that you need a referendum. So that's a given. At the governmental level, was that etched in stone? Did they take any kind of decision in the councils to make sure that there's going to be a referendum for sure?
They have. We have, and Jacinta can attest to that, we have been talking to the different political leaders for so many months, trying to lobby, trying to get them on our side and try to explain to them the importance of having a referendum. And I must say, because they are convinced, they are the ones who have put the legislation in place so that we can have this referendum. Because as I said, there is now a referendum committee. And the idea is to have this referendum in December of this year. So as things are right now, the referendum committee, they are now working out the options, and they still have to announce the official date. But of course, we have the majority of politicians on our side because they have put the legislator in place.
You guys have been pushing this idea for a referendum. I don't know of no other group doing it like you did, and I was invited by your organization to come to station to speak more than a year ago, almost 2 years as a matter of fact. Yeah, that was November in 2012. Yeah, that really went fast. It says two things. It says that we either working a lot or we getting old. Let's go back. Anybody from the Brighter Path Foundation is on the referendum committee?
We are not on a referendum committee, and we have a big smile as you ask the question, because we would like to see more happening as the time is getting closer to December. One of the Island Council members called into a radio show 2 weeks ago and he said, for sure, he said if it's the 31st of December, we are definitely going to have the referendum. The referendum committee is very quiet at this time, and we feel a little disappointed. However, we will continue to push to get it happen. I don't think it would have been fair to have one of us on the committee, because then for me it's a conflict of interest, because we know we are the one who wanted it and we know what we want. So no, we are not. I think it was appointed by the island government. They were appointed by the island government to have a more neutral group of people in the committee.
Okay. For us to understand your option, I want to go back to what the present options are that you're living now. And I know we discussed this already in the program, but for the folks who missed the previous program, let's talk about a model that exists today as being part of the best island. An option that you didn't vote for. What are your biggest quote-unquote beef, as the young people would say? What are your biggest challenges you have with the present option that you're living under?
First of all, it's not what we voted for. Even if it was autonomy and we did not vote for it, we would have a problem with it, even though we are supporting autonomy, because the United Nations talks about the right of external self-determination. When it comes to a status change, the people themselves have to determine the option that is right for them. So that is the first thing. Second of all, partial integration is not a form of self-government as defined by the United Nations. Friends in Maarten, before you became a collectivity, you were under Guadeloupe, but you were fully integrated, and you're still fully integrated into France. Full integration means you have political equality and you have representation, direct representation. The model that we have is half integration. It's partial integration. So there's no political equality and we have no direct representation. So according to the United Nations, it is not a legitimate option because there are political deficits. That's a beef that we have with it. It is not full integration. You're either fully integrated or you're not. And the problem we have with it also is that the Netherlands picks and choose when we are considered fully integrated and when not. So laws are applied in an arbitrary manner. All right? When it's convenient to the Netherlands, they would say, no, there's no distinction between Sint-Eustatius and Den Haag, The Hague. And when it is not convenient, they would say, because of the geographical location and what have you, we have to maintain differences. So we object to that.
You want to add something, Jessica?
Yeah, I wanted to add the practical part. What happens on the floor now? What happens on the ground of Statia is there being a lot of taxes if you would be out of a job. On the French side, because you're fully integrated, you have the rights of the European French. By us, like Shimada was just saying, they have a status in place that they can shift exactly to what is suitable to them. So they will say, no, but you're an island, so if you lose a job, that's your problem because you're not part of Europe. But we will collect all the taxes that we can collect. Oh, by the way, you're an island, so you have to import everything. So we're going to collect taxes on that too. I just got a vehicle from Statia. It came to the French side I didn't have to pay much taxes. You just go and you pay an administration fee. If it went the other way around, they would have gone and they would look at my car, and the amount it's cost and whatever, and they take a 25% out of that, including what's in the car. That's just an example. So now, what is happening, they're collecting all these taxes, also the social taxes, which is a lot of money, and they refuse to tell us how much is being collected. So people are just paying to the point that businesses are closing. We lost a bank, we lost a bakery, we lost construction companies. Everything is just closing down because it has become so expensive for people. And they're saying, yes, but that's the way it is. No, there are strict laws, European laws that don't apply to us. Those laws they are using. So the trade that we had between St. Kitts, that is cut off. The people that would shop in Statia are now coming to shop in St. Maarten because of the strict rules, no money going in. They also have strict rules now with the medical school. So the medical school cannot establish on Statia because they have to meet the Dutch standard. So people that have their houses empty, people who invested in apartments for students, they cannot fill those apartments. The supermarkets are empty. No one is selling because there's no one on the island because of all the strict Dutch laws. But still, whatever they can collect, they are collecting is going directly to Holland, and they refuse to let us know how much it is. And the laws that are things that are good for us, they are saying that healthcare got better. They are saying education got better. Even those things they can decide, well, we are going to cut down on those too. It's costing us too much money, so they're cutting down on that. So in the end, because we have no representation, nobody standing up for our people in The Hague, we have no rights, absolutely none. So the people are suffering. They are feeling it. But there's a small group. That's the people that they put in place to do the administration for them. They make sure that they keep those people happy. So then you get a divide in the community. Those that are the civil servants that are collecting money from Holland, they are good. They know probably if the status changes, they might lose their jobs. So they are also the influential people. So those are the ones that will give us a hard time. But they need to remember there's a private sector that's suffering. The island is like a ghost town because of it.
Let me go back to the question of that I think they raised. Any small community like St. Eustatius, St. Maarten would depend on people that come from the outside. In this case, your medical university would have had a great impact. Is it totally closing down, or it just because of the laws, the adjustment making it more difficult?
We lost one. One closed down and relocated to St. Maarten. So they are now established in St. Maarten. You see, that is the good thing of having local autonomy, because you determine for yourself if you want to have a medical school here or not. But there's a new medical school that would like to establish itself on St. Eustatius, and that is what Jacinta is talking about. Because of some technicalities, they cannot establish themselves because they have to meet the Dutch standards, and if they do not meet the Dutch standard, it will mean that they cannot establish themselves. So it's not totally off the table as yet, but we have to see what is going to happen in the coming months. But as of right now, we have no medical schools, so less economical activity, and of course a lot of people with empty apartments, and it really has an impact on those individuals.
And in this time of economic crisis, I'm sure that is even worse.
It's bad. Remember, on a small island, people in St. Maarten are complaining of the high prices and the cost of living. Me, I am very close to the fire, Suja, because I have a business on Statia. I do my shopping in St. Maarten. And I am saying, if you all are complaining that it's expensive in St. Maarten, which it is, can you imagine adding freight to that price? Adding transport costs, not just on the road. You have to add that in. And when it gets there, they charge you a 6% over the cost, whatever cost you have on your invoice. And the freight cost is included. So you pay 6% over the freight too. Wow. Even the freight from if you would order from Miami. So add all the cost of St. Maarten plus the cost to get it to Statia and to sell it in Statia for a profit, impossible. So they are slowly squeezing the life out of all the businesses there on the island, and they refuse to listen. I am telling people, when they hear me talk, they believe, well, you're talking on personal experience. I am telling them, based on what I have experienced since 2010, sending messages, trying to get some of my workers the working papers. It's impossible to deal with the ministries in Holland. One of them was blatantly, he looked at us and he said, for 4,000 people, we don't care. We are not going to change our law for 4,000 people. So with experiences, I have written letters. I have someone working on my behalf who is, by the way, a Dutch lady. We have written kilometers of letters explaining to them what they are doing to the islanders. And they would let you know, well, it's too bad. You take it to the judge. But your ministry is responsible for taking care of the people. No, that's not our problem. Not for 4,000 people. So you end up in a situation where people are being disadvantaged. They are being, like someone said on the radio last week, you can't even sweat because there's no more water in your body to sweat.
That's colonialism to the fullest. I must say that. Okay, I was concerned about station funds since I visited 2 years ago, and now it sounds like they've even gotten worse. You mentioned the educational system, Jacinta. You are a teacher as well. You were in the educational system. I know you're now relocated in St. Maarten. You still run your business in Statia. What have become, or what is the situation right now at that level?
Well, I have not been hearing much. When we left, we didn't leave on good terms because there were a lot of things, in our opinion, and when I say our, a group of us, some concerned parents, my husband and I, who are also in the system, the school system. You know, again, when you live abroad and you work abroad, we have been teaching since the late 90s. We know what it's supposed to be like. We understand levels. They're saying, well, we are sending a lot of money. The educational department is sending a lot of money. But what we were seeing is that the logistics were looking nice. The classrooms were okay. But the education that really needed to meet the people, to touch the young people, to get them on the level that they were supposed to be getting, that was lacking. And that is what we were complaining about. But we were the whistleblowers. And they found a way to get us out. So what's happening now, to be honest with you, Suja, I don't know. I fear the worst because the ones that remain have more of an attitude like, you know what, I'm not going to fight a losing battle. I'm just going to go in, do what I have to do, and at the end of the day I leave. At the end of the month I collect my salary. So everything is quiet. I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're doing their utmost best for the young people, and I'm going to say a prayer that it's like that. For me, I have seen too many spots that needed to be filled for our young people. For me, it's never good enough for them, and it wasn't good enough for them.
The question of language of instruction, I think that has changed over. They changed over the language of instruction. Bring me up to speed with that.
Yes, they have decided that the language of instruction, not only on the primary level but also on the secondary level, will be English. So they have established a committee who did this investigation, and now they have appointed a person, a kind of a consultant, who will see to it that the process, the transition from the Dutch to the English, that it would take place in a proper manner. So from 2015, I think, on the secondary level also, the language of instruction will then also be English. It was the case on the primary, that the language of instruction was English, but not on the secondary. But from 2015, it would be English on primary and secondary level.
Yeah, I was hearing that there were problems because when you choose the English now, they have to also do exams in English. And I was hearing that the school board is not accepting the CXC exams. Okay. So they will have to still go back again to the drawing board and see exactly what they're going to do. I wish them the best.
Let's just remind the folks, if they just join us, you're listening to Let's Talk About It. And this afternoon on the program, we have members of the Brighter Path Foundation, the association located in St. Eustatius, our neighboring island. I had the opportunity to work with this foundation, and I know they're doing some hard work out there. They're trying to make an improvement to their society. And when you hear what's going on in St. Eustatius, I must say, must ring a bell, and it's really alarming. Let's go back now to the the situation where the money is concerned, I know that y'all shifted from guilders to, because the Netherlands Antilles really don't exist anymore, but and y'all move out of that because you're integrated into the Netherlands, and you opted to change your currency over to
the US dollar. But the question is, who opted to do that? It's those people at the top who decided that that should be the best currency without any serious research. And I think that that has had also an impact on the situation on synthetasias, because people are asking the question, but if we are integrated, why are we not like the French side? Why don't we have the euro? You see, but those are all questions and decisions that took place outside of the public eye. So coming back now to this issue of referendum, this time around, we want to do it differently. So if the people should opt for local autonomy in terms of the monetary system, there needs to be a dialogue and there needs to be transparency as to what is best for synthetasias, because I asked myself the question if it was the right thing to do to change over to the dollar.
How much that has impacted you being a business person, Jacinta? How much that have impacted your business, the fact that you was a total shift over to dollar?
In the beginning, I thought it was easy because when you're dealing with St. Maarten or you're dealing with suppliers from the States, it's easier communication when you have one currency. You wouldn't have to be constantly changing back and changing back. But what I find is very difficult is just very expensive. Everything is just extremely expensive. And people, they left the salaries in guilders. And when I say they left the salaries in guilders, if you're going to double the prices for everything, salaries should also be doubled. But that didn't happen. So a lot of people are saying, yes, but the stores just changed the prices from dollar to guilder, from guilder to dollar, and it made it very expensive for us. But what happened is the cost for the businesses is also in dollars, and they have to remember that. So it hurts everybody's pocket. Now, if I have to pay my social taxes, they're not going to say, well, let me charge you the social taxes in Gilda, in nice, pretty Gildas. No, it's science. I have to pay them in dollars. GB, it's Suko now. People come in the store and they say, yeah, but when I shop in St. Maarten, it's not so bad. But they forget that I have machines keeping my stuff safe, and they're all handing me dollar bills, and I don't mean the currency bills. I mean the invoices are all in dollars. It has made life expensive for people. And again, when there's no spending power, you have to adjust your prices to match what the economy can afford to pay. So what you have to often do is underprice the goods, just to be able to keep business going. And this is why a lot of businesses have decided, I am not going to do that. I am just going to close. What I wish people would do is would march down to the government and say, listen, we need this thing to stop. It needs to stop now. But when they hear us doing business and we are complaining, they think, oh, they're making money anyway. I see people buying. But people buying doesn't mean that we are meeting our costs. It just means that people are buying.
But even just to add to that, talking about the difficulties with the dollar and what have you, what makes life on station even more difficult is that the taxes collected all go to the Dutch coffers. So you're not even seeing what you're paying for. That does not make any sense. Why should all of those taxes go into Dutch coffers and not be reinvested into the island? That is a problem that we have as well. And as Jacinta had said earlier, the Dutch refuses to tell us how much monies are collected on the local level. So you see this whole dollar thing, and also, by the way, we don't have price control on synthetasias. So that is also part of the problem. You know, I think that has an effect on the cost of living. But again, I want to come back to the point that when you do not involve the citizens of an island in a process in terms of monetary system, this is what you get. Because then you can't anticipate, you have not done your research properly, and now these are the challenges that you meet up now as you go along. And the problem is because we have no autonomy, we are at the mercies of the Dutch, because they're the ones in control of a lot of things, and they have to decide, oh, we're going to do A, we're going to do B, we're going to do C.
You know, your situation that really scared me, and I must say that. I must admit to you that when I hear the Statia situation, it really bothers me. As I always say, Statia is a Caribbean country. It's a neighbor, and we should not leave Statia die right next to us without giving an opinion. Hence the main reason why when you called me to come and give my opinion about the situation, I came, but also to put my program at your disposition at any time, and so that the people of St. Maarten could know as well, in the wider Caribbean who listen to this program could know as well. Let's go back to that serious issue that you're saying, that taxes have been collected on your island, and nobody knows how much is collected. What does your elected people say?
What do they say? They share the same concerns with us. They have been to The Hague, and they have asked for an overview of the monies collected. And do you know what the Dutch secretary told one of our elected officials? He said to our elected official, if we should tell Sint-Eustatius how much monies are collected on Statia alone, we will have to do that for every municipality in the Netherlands. So they left the Netherlands without having that information. But what our elected officials had to let the Dutch secretary know is that unlike The Hague, unlike Rotterdam, we are in a transitory situation, because the idea is that in 2015 this status would be evaluated. And unlike Den Haag and unlike Rotterdam, we are not fully integrated into the Netherlands, and we have a right to know how much monies are being taken out of our island so that we can decide our own constitutional future. So coming back to what our political officials are saying, Suja, they have protested. They are protesting, but they have no power. All they can do is complain. They don't have the power to change it. If the Dutch secretary does not want to provide them with that information, they will not receive that information.
But isn't it, though, that if you have an elected person that is, democratically speaking, you find yourself in a position where you're representing a voice of a people? And it's insulting to even try to compare you to any other municipality in Holland. But even if you want to do that, but every municipality should demand what kind of money you're collecting from the people, isn't that so?
And this is where the people of St. Eustatius need now to band together, stand behind our local government, and say, we demand to know. Because not only, you said it's an insult, not only are we not The Hague and Utrecht and Groningen, we are an island in the sea. And this is an island in the sea that need to, at one point, say, listen, this thing isn't working for us. And the first thing everybody look at, when I was about to start my business, the first thing the bank or whoever it is asked me is, can I see a business plan? Can I see your financial plan? What do you you need to know what monies, you want to know what your island could afford. So our people are going to have to go and say, listen, we demand to know what our island could afford, because maybe we don't even have to live like this. Suja, it is not fair that I am paying so much taxes, but maybe I still have to go mix up my own mortar to fix a road that is next to my shop because of some issue. It's not fair that I have to pay all those taxes and I still have to collect my own, set up my own water system because that is not in place yet. It's not fair that I am paying all those taxes and infrastructure is not in place. I keep telling my people, and I don't mean to preach on your program, but I keep telling my people, our water saving system, we did it ourselves. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, they set it up themselves. Our waste management, we did it ourselves. No Dutch came and tell us, this is the way. When I look at the road in Saba, where the big engineer said, their road can't be built. The Sabans built their road. Our people have been managing themselves for a long time. Now we live in a time where money is a little more frequent. Now they step in and they say, hey, we will take care of you. And you still have one or two who believe it. We used to ship our sweet potato and stuff to your island. We used to ship it to Curacao, the Bonaire, Windsor Island. Our people have done that. We built, our houses went up a little crooked, but we built them ourselves. It wasn't the Dutch building them. So I'm saying to people, Stop sitting back and thinking someone else can do a better job than you. You are the one doing it all the time. Demand to know what is being sent out of your island. It's what we work for.
And I'd just like to add to that, indeed, we come from a nation of fighters, people who have been very self-sufficient on St. Eustatius. So now I'm coming back to what you asked, what are the local politicians doing? I want to also be a bit critical of them. And I think that they are missing balls, okay? They are lacking balls. Why I'm saying that? If you are not getting this information from The Hague, if you are dissatisfied as to how things are going, because the local politicians are also saying that the Netherlands is not taking their opinion into consideration, they are not taking them seriously, because part of this status also means that Holland can impose laws unilaterally and you do not need to have the approval of the local officials. What I am saying is, you can protest. Why don't you boycott meetings? Why don't you have to boycott? Let The Hague know you are serious. So it's not about just sitting on the sideline, Suja, and complaining. If you want something, you have to fight for it. So that fighting spirit that we once had, some of us still do, and I would really hope that the politicians would realize that they need to fight, and sometimes it means that you have to be disobedient. But in a respectable way, don't break laws, but be disobedient. So they need balls, and they need to let The Hague know that they are serious. If we do not get this information from you, Den Haag, then this is what we are going to do. Then perhaps people will take them seriously.
I honestly believe that if you're a representative of the people, you should be bold and brave enough to say, this is what I want for my country. Because that's what the people go and vote for you for, to represent them. And if you cannot bring back the results of how much taxes, if I'm paying taxes in a country and I don't know how much taxes is collected from my country, I think that's an insult to the people. That's a primary insult.
It's an insult. But also, I don't know how the Friends and Maarten think about their full integration, but you see, this is what happens when you give someone else the power over you. When we were part of the Netherlands Antilles, we had more local autonomy. Now we are partially integrated. Our politicians do not really have that much power, you know. There are some things that they can execute on a local level, but when it comes to economics and taxes and what have you, the decisions are made in The Hague. So they are kind of powerless, you know, and it has to do with the structure. So we want to go back to that referendum. We need to have that referendum, and we hope that the people opt for more autonomy, because if we opt for autonomy, the taxes collected will remain on St. Eustatius.
Let's talk about the referendum a little more in details. I know that you are not on the referendum committee, but I know you have been struggling for the idea of a referendum for the longest a while. You have signed petitions, and I saw the petition, and I must congratulate you, ladies, that you all did a splendid job. And an island like Statia, I think, what was the total amount of signatures again?
Around 800 and something signatures collected.
For a population like St. Eustatius, that's a great number. What you seen as options, are the various options, or how many options do you think that should be on that ballot?
We think 4, and certainly the 3 legitimate options, as has been stipulated by the United Nations: full integration, so what Friends and Maarten has, a form of local autonomy, and independence. Those 3 options must be on the ballot, but we have the status quo. And of course, we think it would be, you know, the right thing to do to also put the status quo on there, even though there are deficits on there in regards to this option of partial integration, but we feel that it should also be on the ballot. So 4 options. What we have now, that is partial integration, or we can say we are a public entity of the Netherlands. Full integration, by the way, with representation, local autonomy, and independence. Those are the options that we feel definitely need to be on the ballot.
Are these options going to be accepted by the Netherlands? Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be, quote unquote, you're working from within a so-called kingdom. Those options need to be accept it so that you could, well, independence, if you vote for independence, you don't have no problem. But if you vote anything outside of independence, you have to be, and you want to stay in the People Kingdom, you want to know if they're going to accept to you to be in the kingdom. I'm sorry for saying it that way, but that's what it is.
No, I think that's a good question. I assume that someone needs to approve. Since they have to approve everything that we do on station now, if the options are okay, we would leave that up to local government, and we are watching them really closely, because if any ministry complain and say, well, we don't agree, I think it's time for us to say, well, hold up, you're going to come with something better? Because we know what we want. We know what we want. We know what we had. We know what we want. We know where we want to go. And it's our island.
I just want to add, once we have made a choice, then the power of negotiation starts. We have to negotiate. As you have said, if we opt for independence, there's no negotiation. We go.
Well, there's negotiation at the date of when you're going to do it, but outside of that,
not. But if we should choose to remain in the People Kingdom, as you say, we have to negotiate, and they are going to put demands on us. But I must say, you asked the question, how realistic are these options? For full integration, I dare say, and I want to be very open with this, even if the people of Statia opt for full integration, we will never get direct representation in the second chamber, because they have made it clear that is something that they're not going to do. You know why? Someone from the Christian Democratic Party in the Netherlands brought forward the French model. They said, but look how France has regulated something with its overseas territories, so that St. Barts and St. Maarten and Guadeloupe, you guys can have direct representation in the French Parliament, or however you call it. So someone brought that motion to the floor. It was rejected. The Dutch said they are not familiar with that model, and they are not going to give St. Eustatius direct representation in the second chamber, because if they should do that for St. Eustatius, they have to do it for Den Haag. They have to do it for Rotterdam, and the Dutch municipalities do not have their own direct representation in the second chamber. So I must say, even though we put full integration on the ballot, there's no guarantee that we would have direct representation in the second chamber.
And for the past 4 years, our experience with the Dutch is they are extremely tough when it comes to negotiations. For them, this is the way it's going to be, and you either take it or leave it. We are talking about psychologists here. We are talking about people who know if I let them stay with this status long enough, they will adjust. They will adjust themselves, and at one point they're going to be quiet. And this is slowly what's happening. You notice some people are starting to say, well, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. And we are saying, no, people, don't let it be like that. It's going to just get worse. And I am afraid of full integration, totally afraid of it, because I have now seen the way they negotiate with us through our communication with them. We have dealt with the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Social Affairs, the Ministry of Education. They do not negotiate with you on one level. You are not equal partners with them. They let you know politely, sometimes, not always, but politely enough, that we don't have to negotiate with you. And this is something the local people have to understand. There is nothing worth losing your freedom over. There's nothing worth being in an abusive situation over, because that's what it is. If I cannot talk with you on an equal level, I call it abuse, because then you can decide for me, even if it's paining me, even if it's hurting me, you decide. And that's not fair.
Your option that you're fighting for, which you told me is the option of local autonomy, how broad is that being accepted in the community?
We think the majority of stations want local autonomy, just by talking to them, because we talk with stations on a daily basis, and people really want more local autonomy. So I'm convinced. I mean, Suja, you could never be 100% convinced, but if we were to have that referendum tomorrow, the people would choose for local autonomy. But people are concerned, though, because if we opt for local autonomy, it would mean that we would have to have funds to keep the economy going. But we have a plan for that. We said, of course, Eustatius needs to build its economic base, and we want the local autonomy to be transitory.
Right now, you don't know because you don't even know how much taxes you collect. Maybe you're collecting enough taxes to run your country. You don't know that for a fact. For you to do that, you need to have an assessment of what is now being collected in your country.
That is correct. We need that information, but at the same time, we need to be proactive, and we need to continue the process. Imagine if we should say, we need this information, and we do not get this information, so based on that, we can't have a referendum, and based on that, we cannot opt for local autonomy. You see, it's two processes. At the same time, we need that information as to how much taxes are collected, but at the same time, as a people, we need to move forward. But we are still saying, but I agree with you, local autonomy can be something that can happen in stages. So to start off with, we can agree with the Netherlands as to which tasks we would like to execute on the local level, having our own station constitution, by the way, because local autonomy means you will have your own constitution. I think on the French side, you guys are incorporated into the French constitution. We want our own, okay? Just like the status of party that St. Maarten has. But we are saying, because we are anticipating the fact that we might not get this information, so it's about taking chances. So we are saying, let it be transitory, and at the end of each year or at the end of 2 years, we evaluate and we see, based on our economic activity, we decide, okay, from the 10 tasks that we have given you, we're now going to take back 1. And after 2 years, we want back 2 of them until we have achieved full local autonomy.
And well, to add to what Shimada is saying, people will want autonomy because that's where we are coming from. The worst thing that happened is when you split up. You're in the Caribbean already, and you have 6 islands together. 6 islands break apart. If you and I, who can see each other daily, cannot get along, how we expect we're going to get along with someone who we don't see and who's not close to us?
And who don't see us as equal partner.
And who don't see us as equal partner. We had that in the Antilles, and people realized that we could make way more decisions on our own. And not only that, we also understood each other's plight better, and we adjusted our choices and our constitution based on our situation. Now, we are under people who don't understand the culture, they don't understand the people, they don't understand. So they make the decisions based on how they feel and how they see it. So what happens now, people realize, listen, to have lost autonomy and gone closer to the mother country has made us lose a lot of who we are as a people. And that hurts. So I think people want to grab that back. They want to hold on to that again and say, listen, let us go further away instead of closer to. Because, Suja, I am sure they have moments that you want to feel comforted by your mom. But most of the time, at least me as a young woman growing up, I was ready to go on my own every day. You get away a little more, until you could stand by yourself.
But I must tell you, though, if you're not being comforted by these people, then they can't be called mom. So I don't refer to them as mother country. I must say that that's my opinion now. Let me go back to something I know that I discussed lengthily with some station people when I was there. The question of how much money is being collected in taxes from your bulk refinery station that you have there. It's New Star, isn't it?
New Star, yeah, the oil company. Yeah.
How much do you guys know how much is being collected from the Netherlands on their oil?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what exactly is being collected, and I think that is information that you can find out. But coming back to the issue of local autonomy, if you have local autonomy, whatever is collected there, even at New Star, besides the taxes that have been taken out of the island, road tax or what have you, that money remains on the island of St. Eustatius. But we do know that New Star is a multi-million dollar multinational. Yes.
We're looking at, like you said, December referendum date. You don't have a date yet. Y'all don't have a date yet.
When the Island Council member called, he said he had a 10th of December. I guess he wanted to do it closer into the month, the beginning of the month, not to get into the season too much. But he said at the beginning of December, we should have the referendum done.
We're talking about 2 months away. And if you want to convince people, you need at least this period of time to give the people a different option.
That is true. So the campaign needs to intensify. But Suja, we have been campaigning, we have been bringing about awareness for years, okay? So it's not a new process, but it needs to intensify. The good thing about St. Eustatius is it is an island that consists of only 4,000 people. If you run a serious campaign, you can reach people within a month. If it is intensive, every day something, Suja, you will reach the masses. So that is at our advantage. We only have like about 2.5 months, but because of the smallness of our island, it would be easy to bring about that awareness within a short period of time.
I want to, because we're not going to last 2 minutes of the program, I want to conclude on the question of the negotiating team, because you all keep on referring to that if you get local autonomy, you're going to have a negotiating team. You guys are championing this option. Would you push to be part of that negotiating team?
That's something we'll definitely have to discuss internally, and someone asked for that question. But more importantly for us is that whoever is part of the negotiating team has to be someone who is knowledgeable in many different areas. So we think it is important to have experts. And when I say expert, I mean really experts in the area of taxes, in the area of education and transfer of tasks and what have you. So we will be part of that process, whether folks want us to be or not, because we are going to try to make sure that the right people are selected to negotiate. So we're going to be part of it, Suja, maybe not being part of the negotiating team, but we're going to watch the process like hawks, and we are going to make sure that the right people are appointed.
We're going to be giving you both the last closing remarks. We have like a minute more to go, and I'm going to start with you, Jacinta. Maybe you want to share something or cover something that we didn't cover in the entire interview. I give you the option to say that in your closing remark at this time.
Well, quickly, I will say that I do believe that we can make it on our own. I look at, I would compare it with a father or mother who has 15 children. Compared to a father or mother who have 2 children. People keep saying, well, the island is small, so we need. And I am saying no, because the island is small, you can make it on less means. When you have a big family, you have to spend more. So I am saying we need to stop looking without and start looking within. Look at our own means. Look at ways and means. And when you feel strong, economically strong, like a bold teenager that said, you know what, Mama, look at my paycheck. I can move out now. I am not talking independence yet, but I am talking about an independent mindset that can encourage people to have the boldness of a lion to go and say, listen, I don't need to take this. I can take care of myself. And I wish that our people can find unity in that strength and in that boldness, knowing that we are okay. We are fine. We don't need to be abused like this.
Shemaida, as president of the movement, the Brighter Path Foundation, I'm going to give you your 30 seconds to say your closing remark.
We really want to thank you, Suja, because without you, we wouldn't get this information out. I know that you are very much committed to our cause, and we really appreciate your support. And we want to speak to the St. Maarten people directly. Please support us in this. Please pass the word on that St. Eustatius needs to have that referendum. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies, for coming and sharing your situation with us again. And I want to say to you that, yes, you have my full support on this one. And whatever options you guys choose, that will be up to you. I cannot vote an option, but I could also spread the word that you need to take charge of your country. And this is a Caribbean country. Folks, this is how we're going to wrap up today's program. We do hope that you have enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you. We invite you to join us again next week right here on your family radio station, SOS 95.9 FM, for another program of Let's Talk About It. Until then, I should just say, keep the faith.